Our evaluation is called Getting a Sense for the Place, Visitor Use and Reaction to the Underwater Dome exhibit. The principal investigators on this evaluation were Catherine Canning, Hal Kramer, Andrea Mickelbach, and Carrie Plank. This evaluation is the result of a partnership between the University of Washington Museology Graduate Program's New Directions in Audience Research Initiative and the Seattle Aquarium. Initially funded by the Institute for Museum and Library Services, New Directions in Audience Research is a special initiative of the University of Washington Museology Graduate Program, partnering with the Woodland Park Zoo. New Directions is designed to train museology graduate students to understand, support, and engage in audience research and evaluation within informal learning settings. A key component of the training is partnering with local museums who serve as learning laboratories where students work to conduct on-site audience research under the guidance of evaluation mentors and support staff. The purpose of this evaluation was to develop a baseline understanding of how visitors use and react to the Underwater Dome exhibit at the Seattle Aquarium, as well as to determine whether or not visitors understand that the dome represents the Puget Sound. This evaluation is intended to inform the development of short-term, cost-effective updates to the dome in order to improve visitor satisfaction and experience. The Seattle Aquarium opened in 1977, and the Underwater Dome was part of its initial opening. It has remained structurally unchanged since. The Underwater Dome is one of the largest exhibits at the aquarium. The exhibit consists of a 400,000-gallon tank filled with Puget Sound fish and marine life. There is minimal signage in the dome. However, 3 spinning animal ID signs serve as the main interpretive elements within the exhibit. This exhibit has never been formally evaluated before, so this evaluation serves as the baseline evaluation for the exhibit. For this evaluation, we have 3 main questions. We wanted to look at how visitors are using the space of the Underwater Dome, how long they stay in the exhibit, where they go, how they are using the spinning animal ID signs, and how they interact with staff and volunteers within the dome. We also wanted to know what reactions visitors were having to the Underwater Dome. How did they feel while in the exhibit? What did they like and dislike? And what questions they have after visiting the dome. Finally, we wanted to know if visitors understand that the Underwater Dome represents the Puget Sound.
We used a timing and tracking map to help us understand how visitors are using the space. The path visitors took through the space was marked on the map, and the total time they spent in the dome was recorded. Behaviors such as pointing, sitting on the benches in the downstairs area, taking photos, interactions between visitors, and interactions with the animal ID signs or aquarium personnel were also recorded on the map. A total of 179 timing and tracking maps were completed during the data collection period. Visitors most often entered the dome through the hallway leading from the Puget Sound fish and exited on the opposite side of the dome through the Orca Family Activity Center. The upper portion of the dome was visited the most, with the upper left quadrant, or rocky reef area of the exhibit, being the most frequently visited. Most visitors also spent some time on the downstairs level closer to the glass of the tank. We found that visitors are spending an average of 44 minutes and 53 seconds in the exhibit. This indicates a low sweep rate based on the square footage of the dome. While in the dome, visitors are engaging with the exhibit in a variety of ways. Some of the most frequently observed behaviors were conversations between tracked group members, pointing at things in the exhibit, sitting in the downstairs area, and taking photos. For the most part, the informative resources within the dome are underutilized by visitors. Most visitors had no interaction with the dome's identification signs. Of visitors who did interact, 52% browsed the signs and 35% used them to look up a species. Our second instrument was an administered survey. Data collectors approached adult visitors as they exited the dome and asked if they would like to participate in a survey of the Underwater Dome exhibit. If visitors agreed, data collectors read questions to the visitor and recorded their responses. Some of our key findings from the administered survey found that most visitors did not have any questions after visiting the dome. Of the visitors who did have questions, most had questions relating to specific species. The next most common questions related to the spinning animal ID signs. Participants most frequently reported not knowing what underwater region the dome reminded them of. The next most frequent responses were within the local region and made up almost half of total responses, including Seattle, the Pacific Northwest, and the Puget Sound. Our final instrument was a fill-in-the-blank survey. This instrument was similar to a Mad Lib. Visitors were given a prompt such as, "My favorite thing about the dome has got to be," and were asked to fill in the blank with a certain type of word. Data collectors were stationed at a cart and had this instrument on numerous clipboards for visitors to take and fill out on their own. Key findings from this instrument suggest visitors like specific species in the dome, such as sharks or halibut, and also like certain features of the physical structure, such as the 360-degree views and the benches for sitting. Visitors reported disliking how crowded the dome was, and also reported disliking certain features of the dome's structure, such as the cement beams or that it seemed small.
The dome is a mixed-use area that visitors linger in and enjoy for a variety of tangible and intangible reasons. Signage may be a valuable area to consider for future updates, with potential content relating to specific species and to the dome's representation of the Puget Sound. Visitors have indicated liking and disliking physical aspects of the dome's structure. Information about the history of the dome or the architecture of the exhibit might be of interest to visitors as well. Given the low usage of existing signage, front-end evaluation of updated signage is recommended, as is additional investigation of visitors' interaction with staff and volunteers in the exhibit space, due to the low rate of volunteer and staff presence in the dome during the data collection period. Thank you for listening to our evaluation snapshot. If you are interested in reading the full evaluation or have any questions, please feel free to email us. Thank you.